Hey everyone, Lee McKnight Jr. I'm the VP of Sales at RSWUS, and this is 3 Takeaways, your agency new business video series where we focus on one new business category and give you 3 takeaways to help improve your new business program. Hey, we recently hit 200 subscribers. Woo! And while my 6th grade daughter is not at all impressed by those numbers, we sincerely, and we really do, thank you all for watching and for the recommendations. I mean, it's great to hear that these are helping. Okay, and also, we're going to continue to have the link to our COVID-19 resources page for agencies in the description down here. We update it every week with our own content and our colleagues' content. Okay, let's get to it. In our last few episodes, I've talked about how quickly circumstances change and that you need to review your new business messaging weekly. So what resonated 3 weeks ago may not resonate now. And currently we're in yet another phase where states are starting to or planning to reopen in some way. Now with that, those of you who have been maybe paused on new business, understandably, while you focus energies on supporting your clients and employees, maybe you're now including in that focus your new business strategy, as you should. And some of you will try to handle it internally, others will possibly outsource. Yes, brief, shameless plug for RSW. And then some of you will look to hire, a new business director. Now, those of you going that route, something to watch for, and it's your first takeaway, beware the if I just had this new business director type. All right, what do I mean? Well, I had a conversation with an agency principal just this week, and he was kind of lamenting a new business hire he had previously made. I mean, this person, by all accounts, initially a good hire, had experience, but fairly quickly became apparent that, okay, there's an issue. The new business activity wasn't there. And consistently, the reason for it from the new business director was, if I just had this case study, or if I, just had another reel with this focus. In other words, there was always that excuse. If I just had this, I'd be getting into more doors, I'd be winning more business for us. So the principal and creatives were consistently being asked to create more and more with nothing to show for it in the form of new business. Now, you often hear about the opposite, a new business director who doesn't get the support she needs, for example, and that's a very real thing. Now, side note, I'm not including or talking about weekly thought leadership type content, which ideally is being created on that weekly basis. Okay, but back to the example. Ultimately, there has to be a balance. I mean, up front, the new business director and agency leadership need to audit what exists and what will be needed for an initial, say, 6-month period. Now, of course, something will come up where, a high-value prospect wants to see something and it's worth your time to create that something for them. Absolutely. But you can't have the team on a new business, creation hamster wheel if the results aren't there. All right. And one way to avoid this scenario, and it's not foolproof, but it's in the interview process. Okay, ask the candidate to do their own audit of your site, your case studies, collateral materials. Doesn't need to be like a full-scale formal reporting, but you should ask for it to be done. If what comes back relative to what exists seems like an unreasonable amount over an unreasonable timeline, you should address it. Ask questions about that. And to be fair, this can be a little tough because what is too much? Well, fair enough. So as an example, minimally for your top of the funnel needs, and again, not talking about ongoing thought leadership type content, but make sure your site is updated. You have at least one digital and ideally corresponding physical collateral piece, and then perhaps per vertical, that the ones you're going after. And then at least, I would say 2 to 3 case studies per vertical, and then revisit at around 6 months. You're gonna need new material at some point, of course. Now, these aren't set in stone examples and parameters, but generally, that's what you should be looking at. And set those parameters up front with your new business director. Okay, next, we informally surveyed our new business directors on what platforms or tools are working best right now, for them in order to break through. And LinkedIn was one. And I know if you've watched these episodes before, you've heard me rage about cold LinkedIn selling. That's not what we're doing. But I want to share, what is working with you. And this is something I do as well. It's your second takeaway. And it's this: Talk to your prospects on LinkedIn, not at them. And that's a general rule of thumb we've discussed about, sales overall. But what's working for us on LinkedIn, I'm going to map it out a little bit and give you an example. Now, initially, what's key about this is you go about your normal prospecting routine to establish some awareness, ongoing with a new prospect. Now, after 2 to 3 weeks, give or take, or certainly if a prospect has clicked on a link or opened an email, for example, that's when I would try and initially connect. If that awareness is there, even if it's slight, they'll probably accept your invite. But when you do try and connect, don't send any message, just a straight connect. Now, if they do accept, given the state of LinkedIn today, they may be expecting, an immediate cold sell, because it happens so often. But the thought is, they've accepted your connection request and taken a chance, if you will, because that initial awareness from your other channels, it was there. So it essentially gave you permission to connect with them. Now, if they do, once they accept, surprise and delight them, with a simple thank you and a short personal message that is not a sales pitch in any way. So for example, when I do it, I say thank you and something along the lines of, I hope everyone's doing okay in Charleston, whatever city they're located in. And the key here is I sincerely do hope for that. I mean it. It's not me being like coy or insincere as a way to kind of sneak in a sales pitch on the back end. I sincerely mean it. And invariably, some of these prospects, if you go and kind of try this, if you haven't before, they're going to respond and they're going to engage with you. Fantastic. And that's when you run with it. But if they don't, leave them alone on LinkedIn for the time being. And in the meantime, well, if they've accepted already, well, they're now following you. And this is it can be a little bit hard, but you need to stay as active on LinkedIn as you can with good thought leadership type content, even if it's just third-party content specific to your vertical and you're commenting on it, for example, something that we do with our clients sometimes. That will give you further awareness when you reach back out via email or phone, for example. So something to try, as I said, if you haven't before, LinkedIn in that way. All right, which leads to our third short takeaway. It's this: the phone is a better friend than ever. All right, I mentioned the informal survey of our salespeople, and while email continues to be effective, absolutely, right now, prospects are generally picking up the phone more often, at least in our experience. So make sure it's part of your new business process right now. All right, thanks as always for watching 3 Takeaways. Lots of new business content on our resources page at the URL below. We're here to help you drive new business if you need it, and you can go to RSWUS.com if you're interested. And finally, with our 200 subscriber milestone, a shout out to Craig, who does all this behind the scenes magic for us. He does a great job. So, see you guys next time.